Welcome in, everyone. RFK Refugees Podcast. Ted here. John is not here. John just had a birthday, everybody. As you know, that's why we didn't record on Monday. Let's just say old age is catching up with John. So John's not here. I'm here. We're live after a incredible penalty kick win, guys. Do you feel alive? I feel alive. What a incredible game. So it's just going to be me. We're just going to go live. We're going to free ball this. So if you're live in the chat, jump on in. I had tried to make the press conference available to you guys, but I tried the John method, which is just to go out and do stuff and see if it works. And it didn't quite work. I'm not sure if it worked. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Some people in the chat, yes, we are live. We are here. Hope everybody's having a great was it Wednesday? Wednesday. Of course it's Wednesday. DC United 3-3 game, a wild afternoon in front of very few fans out at Audi Field, but we won't talk about that. Let's talk about the play on the field. Timothy in the chat says, how about Jordan Farr? How about Jordan Farr? Let's talk about that moment. Let's jump right into it. Let's skip all the way ahead. There's a lot to talk about in this game, but let's go ahead and skip right ahead. June getting subbed off in this game, which I said in the chat, I was like, I don't know if I agree with that. I don't know if I think that is the right call. I'm someone who played goalkeeper, and I wouldn't want to get subbed off in that moment. I would want to be in the penalty shootout. I would want to be the main attraction. I don't know if this was discussed ahead of time. It was asked in the press conference if it was. Let me just say that Troy didn't confirm that. Troy didn't say, oh, yeah, we talked about it. Troy basically saying, June wants the team to win. He wants the team to win. He's ultimately he wants the team to win. So I don't think this was, maybe this was, I have to think this was something that was hinted at. At least maybe it was hinted to June that Farr is a great PK keeper. Maybe there was some training that went on. I don't know, but it was interesting to me. I would have thought maybe this was discussed, that this was confirmed, that Troy had talked about this with June, either through the translator. I was like, hey, this game goes 120 minutes. If we go to PKs, we're going to hold on to that sub. We're going to sub on a keeper. I don't know. I'd be curious to see if maybe after after everything sort of comes down from this game, whether it's that. But DC had a moment tonight. This is a team that I have been, I don't want to say negative on, just disinterested in. Just completely disinterested. I was watching the game with my wife, and she was saying, "Oh, you're going to, yell, or you're going to cheer when this game happens." And I said, honestly, I've been very disconnected from DC in a lot of ways, and I think this is a game that's kind of brought me back. This was a great performance tonight, a survive and advance performance in a lot of ways from this team. This team fought. This team showed everything that I hoped this team would show, and it culminated with Jordan Farr coming off the bench. A guy who hasn't seen a single minute for this team in goal, gets 3 minutes in extra time, and then saves 4 or 5 PKs. DC United advanced 2-1. Just an incredible goalkeeping performance from him from the spot. A legendary moment for him. A moment of DCU folklore. I don't know, if you can call the Open Cup the Open Cup for DC. I don't know if you can call it the most prestigious trophy this team has won. It's not. But this tournament seems to just produce folk type moments for this club. You talk about the fact the game we just played against Charleston, the Coffee Pot Cup, came from the fact DC United was upset, and it turned into a trophy that is awarded to the winning fans. You talk about Lewis Neal and John Thorrington. I think John Thorrington scored the winning goal in the 2013 Open Cup. This game just produces folk heroes, and Jordan Farr is now a folk hero as far as I'm concerned for DC United, saving 4 or 5 PKs to get this team to the quarterfinals. This team is now 3 wins away from a trophy. That is a fact. They are in the quarterfinals of the Open Cup for the first time since 2013, which, by the way, the last time they were in the quarterfinals for the Open Cup, they won it. So maybe that's something to keep in mind here. This game started off like a rocket. DC United came firing on all cylinders. I thought João Peglo had a moment where literally the ball was passed right to him. I think he was a little surprised by it, not really prepared for it, kind of trying to track back to cover maybe the pass. The ball goes right to him. It pops up and then right into the hands of Bingham, the Charlotte goalkeeper. So not a whole lot from that I think you can really, unfortunate. It'd be nice if he baby buries that. Maybe we have a different game after the Schneider goal. And then I thought this team looked good coming out of the stretch. I thought they looked really, they looked alive. This team looked threatening. They had a shot within the first 3 minutes, which is not something we can say about every DC United game this year. A shot coming from Jose Kojima. They really effectively used the wing backs well. Both Aaron Herrera and David Schnegg had probably their best game. And then Schnegg gets the opening goal. Just an absolute rocket. Just picks it up in the box and just fires it home outside of the foot, right into the back of the net. Just a incredible goal to start off the game, and DC were flying, and then they kind of sat back. Charlotte again got the pressure a little bit to them, and it really kind of, I think Charlotte kind of took over a little bit. I think they got kind of woken up. This was a game, I think, of teams that are not great right now in the regular season. So let's not sugarcoat this. We're not back. Really, this team just, Charlotte kind of took over a little bit. But DC, I thought they still pressed the ball well. Brendan Cervania, again, another, I thought, stellar performance from him in the center of midfield. This is a player that I think everybody's kind of looked at and said, this is a guy that, should be replaced by a Mady Peltola or a Borsi now. But he continues to show really well. He continues to be a really effective player in the center of midfield for this team, just pinging the ball around, opening up space, opening up opportunities for this team. And I think the story of this match is, this team was without Christian Benteke, and they still found ways to score goals. It came unconventionally. It came from a wing back and a center back, and then obviously then a center defensive midfielder / center midfielder / winger. But this team found a way to win this game, and I think this is the type of performance that we saw early on in Troy Lesesne's tenure. But I thought this team played well for 58 minutes. They were pressing, they were moving, they were really trying to bring the game to Charlotte, and they were really trying to attack. And really, I think, unfortunate in several instances not to be up 2-0. I think Muriel had a really nice chance where he kind of cut the ball back, a la Chris Pontius. I had a lot of Chris Pontius type vibes from. I think he cut the ball back and then tried to do a finesse shot finish. Good save by David Bingham. David Bingham's a good goalkeeper in this league, generally speaking. And then they had probably the worst 4 minutes, which happens when you're a bad team. And again, DC's not a great team right now. They are a average to below average team, and the worst 4 minutes I think I've seen, in the Open Cup for this team, and certainly for this team. And it comes from Patrick Agyemang basically taking the ball in his own. I thought for 58 minutes, this team did a really good job of sort of just mitigating Charlotte's chances. They really didn't get a whole lot. And then Patrick Agyemang burned them very badly for the tying goal. And then, again, set pieces have been this team's Achilles heel for a long time. And ball over the top, headed in. Debates on whether it was an own goal or whether a Charlotte player actually got his head on it. I haven't looked at the actual official scorecard to see whether it was a known goal or not. Looks like they gave it to Loma on that. So again, but set piece defending again kind of really hurts this team in a lot of ways, and that was really unfortunate. So 2-1 heading into this game. DC United, to their credit, kept pushing. As soon as that sub comes on, Jackson Hopkins checks into the game, and then Mady Peltola checks in. Probably not a conventional sub. You would think maybe you would want to get a Fletcher on there. Maybe you would want to get a Randall Leal out there. But I think what Troy showed in this game is a little bit of tactical sense. I think the team had sort of needed a player to kind of, to sort of settle the game in the center. DC was getting a little bit overrun. I think the plan of this game was you have Fletcher, you have Leal, you have players that you think can create and get you opportunities. We need to settle this midfield, because the midfield right now is not settled, and this is why we're getting bypassed. This is why Charlotte is suddenly generating opportunities. So we need to settle that front. And to their credit, both Matty Patola and Jackson Hopkins shifted the game back to DC United's favor. Matty Patola especially. This is the type of performance that I have been waiting for him since I watched him in that Conference League game where he played for his Finnish side against the Scottish side. When I scouted him initially, or not scouted, I don't want to say I scouted him or discovered him, but when I found him or when I watched him, I said, this is a player, if he puts in these types of performances for DC, we have something special here. And he was excellent in this game. He took over kind of the Cervania role of just kind of pinging the ball kind of around to different spots. The tying goal in this game in the 90 minutes comes from a moment where he kind of recognizes Leao sort of on the wing and sort of hits a inch perfect ball over to him. These are the types of performances he needs, and he was just really effective at just kind of smothering plays in the center of midfield. He had a really nice kind of play with his feet where he kind of managed to dribble the ball around coverage, around space. I thought he was fantastic in this game. Really, really excited to see that from Matty Peltola, because we've been waiting for that from him. I feel like I've been waiting for that type of game from him for a long, long time. Again, it is the Open Cup. It is league play. A lot can change, but I was very, very excited to see that. And then Randall Leal continues to do Randall Leal things. He's not a perfect elite creative type player, but he brings a lot of creative juices to the team. And I thought he really added a lot for this team when they were sort of pushing forward and when they were trying to create chances. The players who I thought maybe didn't cover themselves in glory, and we'll start with some negatives. Jacob Murrell had a couple nice chances, but again, not really sure. I think he's trying to figure out kind of where he fits in this team. And I think maybe there's a bit of a mismatch with him. He's not a hold up type midfielder. He wants to get on the run. He wants to get in the attack. And just not finding sort of the right runs, or his teammates are not really unable to find the right runs. I think the hope was that Peglo gets in there and that changes. And Peglo had some moments. He had some creativity moments. I don't think he was a highlight of this game. He gets subbed out at halftime. Undoubtedly, that is to save his legs. That is to keep his legs going. The team does have a game against New York. They are still fighting for a playoff spot. So I think he's going to be an important part of that. So again, Murrell not that great. Hopkins, I thought, came in, looked lively. And then, of course, there was the anointed one, the Christian Fletcher finally makes his appearance. John has hinted at the game that maybe there's some what's the word? Some agent, no, I need to go in the summer, not going to play. I thought maybe there's something to that. I think there still appears to be some illness, some injury that he picked up. Looks like he picked up an injury in training that maybe wasn't quite reported. Again, MLS injury reports are notoriously not very accurate. I thought he came in, he looked lively. He didn't look perfect. He looked a little bit out of sync, but he showed some incredible skill on the dribble. And that is something we really haven't seen for him. And I would guess I've been looking, he's gone on loan to Swansea. He's gone on loan to Nottingham Forest. I'm like, when he comes back on the field, when he steps back on the field, I want to see something new from him. I want to see something that gives me some promise, some hope about what he can be as a player. And he steps right out there and does some great sort of 1v1 dribbling, creates space for himself, creates opportunities for himself. And he wasn't in sync, and that's maybe to be expected. It's going to take some time. But he came in sort of that time period and showed a lot more than we've seen from a Fidel Barajas or some other players out there. Another player who I thought struggled again was Jared Stroud. Jared Stroud is a cursed man. He had an opportunity for a PK, missed the PK. And then he had a couple moments in this game where it just really looked like This team maybe needs something a little more creative, a little more chance creation in that regard. And I think that may be the key to why we're seeing so many struggles from Jared Stroud. He is a very much, he can be an effective player, but he's very much traditional, runs your tail off type winger. And that is a style of winger that can be effective in this league. But when you have very limited chance creation, his deficiencies kind of get a little bit of a microscope. At least that's what I've seen from him this year. Very much snake bit, cursed, was not as effective in this game. And then let's talk about the other player who I thought was fantastic. That's Garrison Tubbs. Garrison Tubbs went all 120 minutes. I think he scored on a PK. I'm trying to look back. I want to remember if the DC United had two players score on a PK. It was Jackson Hopkins, and it was I'm just trying to look at who the other player was who scored on their PK. I believe it was, I want to say it was Garrison Tubbs, but Garrison Tubbs was absolutely fantastic today. One of the best defenders out there on the field, bar none. Just completely getting in the way of players. Of course, he gets the tying goal to make it 2-2. To send this game to extra time. A center forwards type goal from a center defender. He's playing kind of the Nahar role, but he has had a moment. I think he had the 15 minutes that he was loaned out to Loudoun. He was brought in due to an injury, due to injuries in the back line. I think at this point you have to say this guy's a starter. This guy's a starter on this team. But this team is going with a 3-man back line. He might even be a little bit ahead of Rawls at this point, who I thought again had another okay / not great performance. But Tubbs is really showing something special. I think that's great to see. This is another player that you saw Atlanta not really value. They signed him to a homegrown contract and then immediately shipped him to DC. And DC has said, we trust in you. It's been a little bit of a rocky start. This is starting to look more sustainable for him. This is starting to look better for him. Ryan says he's on the Metro right now. And the atmosphere was electric. It was not a big atmosphere. Let me just say it was. I felt weird. It felt weird. I felt like it was completely empty. And then I don't know if like people were like watching like around the stadium and then saw that this game was actually exciting and then just like decided to like show up at the stadium. It looked completely empty like around the field. And then suddenly there was like a few people that just like popped in. I don't know. Maybe some people just showed up and dropped in. I wouldn't put it past them. If I lived around the stadium, and I would be like, you know what, let me just, it's a Wednesday night. It's 11 o'clock right now, or it's 9 o'clock or whatever. Let me just see if the game's worth talking about. Defensively, again, the team gives up 3 goals. I don't know how much you can really read into that. The breakdowns, and then of course the second goal, I think was just kind of like your traditional DC type breakdown. Not a whole lot. Kim Jung Hong, again, I thought made some fine saves. It says, yeah, everyone was at the top and then moved down. Yeah. So the weather also, I think, played a role in that too. It was definitely wet and rainy for like most of the game. So maybe this played a role in people kind of moving down. But hey, those are the fun moments that make people happy. I mean, these are games that were played at like George Mason University out at the Soccerplex, things like that. So, other thoughts in this game, again, DC goes down 3-2 and then shows some incredible fight back to get in this game. Jackson Hopkins, that's his first professional goal. I'm a little surprised that was not mentioned on the broadcast. An absolutely incredible goal for him. A goal I think he will always remember. This game was 3-2. And I remember like Charlotte scored this goal and I thought, this game's not over. Like I don't know what caused me to be like energetic, but I was like, look, we've come back before. This team is going to start to sort of press it. That there are players out there. I see a lot of the subs coming in that are actually stepping up, that are actually, looking like they're going to be players that are going to be good. And lo and behold, a cross goes into the box. I think that came from Stroud. So I think we got to give him a little credit. Charlotte doesn't do a good job handling it. They kind of bounce it around. And then Jackson Hopkins is there on the doorstep to hit kind of like a left-footed like in-swinger that just kind of like caresses into the corner. Game tied, and then it's the Jordan Farr show. Jordan Farr subs in for Kim Chung Hong, goes to PKs. DC hit the first two PKs, and Jordan Farr saves the next two. He then there's a save, and then DC doesn't make a PK till then. Jordan Farr just steps up and saves literally 3 of the next 4, and it's game over. Or 3 of the next. Yeah, I think I got that right. I don't know. My math's not mathing right now. It's 11 o'clock, guys. But overall, just a gutsy performance. I feel like a lot of fans out there needed this type of performance. We needed this type of game. We needed a game that sort of collectively kind of brought the team together. Not everything's fixed. This team is still a mess. There's still a lot of things going on with this team that are a mess. But I think it's important for me. I look at some of the young players. I look at Garrison Tubbs. I look at Jackson Hopkins. I look at Christian Fletcher out there. These are the types of things that get me excited. These are the types of things that get me thinking, oh, maybe there is something. Maybe there is actually something to this team. Maybe there is a plan. It's funny to me. This team had not played. Tubbs is a weird thing. Yes, he's a homegrown listed on the roster. He's not a local guy. He was acquired via trade from Atlanta. But it's funny to me that this is the match where they've played the most homegrowns. They played Fletcher and they played Hopkins. Both those players came in and played well. And suddenly now, like, the mood for me on this team has shifted a little bit. I'll be very curious to see what happens on Saturday. Someone says, I want to believe. I want to believe too. And this is all what I've said. I want to believe in this team. Lately, this team has not made me want to believe. And this is a game that makes me want to start believing again. I want to start believing in this team. I hope this is a game that can be looked back upon as kind of a galvanizing force that kind of brings guys together. These types of things can happen. The mood in the game is real. And I think you got to give a lot of credit to Troy Lesane in this game. This is the type of coaching performance that you want to see out of him. I feel like he's gotten a lot of things wrong this year with who he's made in. He made changes in this game that were a difference, and then he has the masterclass of throwing in Jordan Farr, fresh goalkeeper, to take it to PKs and literally wins this game for him. 4 or 5 saved PKs, just an unbelievable performance for him. Like I said, it's a folk hero type performance from him. It's something I think I will remember watching. I think a lot of fans who are out there will certainly remember watching it. Just a great performance. All right, folks. I wanted to give you guys some content. John is slightly older, so I'm going to continue to make fun of him on that front. I'm not going to say what age he turned, but it's a milestone age. It's a milestone age, so I'll let you guys do the math. So, but he can join us. But I'm still here. I'm still pretending that I'm young, and I'm still out here doing shows for you guys. I want to do this a little more often. Things are going to open up for me, so be on the lookout. I might be doing some stuff with some press conferences, post-game type stuff. Be on the lookout for that. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining for this short podcast, and we will catch you guys on Monday. Vamos.